Pedestrian signs across Europe. I think you are able to see somewhat of a trend here. People either go to the left or to the right. But then there is one exception. What is Spain doing? They just can't decide. I think it's interesting how everything in the south looks similar. Even Turkey and Greece are on the same side. Here we have an interesting WW2 map. All the advances the Soviet Union made. And as you can see, they got everything in the east. The north might be lesser known though, as they also had to attack German-controlled Norway. They also got half of the Balkans, and you can really see how long all of this took. Some parts had longer than others. This is an interesting pencil case. Someone's dad got it in 1961. There still were some of the colonies, and the Soviet Union of course. There even seems to be the slider, where you could see the capitals of our countries. This world map might look a bit weird to you, as it's centered around New Zealand. Most of the time New Zealand gets forgotten in maps, but here the tables have turned, and it really changes your perspective. NATO contributions in Europe. The UK is in first place, followed by Germany and France, and in last place we have Montenegro. Since 2014 only Turkey has spent less, but the US is in first place by far. More than $1 trillion has been spent. The colors of European passports. Most countries have either red or blue, and most of them have a symbol in the center. Don't ask me what Norway is doing. Just based on this map it looks a bit terrible. Bosnia and Croatia are grey for some reason, and for some reason Belarus and Russia aren't agreeing. Wouldn't have expected this. On the other hand, we have a unified Czechoslovakia. This is the topography map of California. As you can see we have a mountain range. I actually don't know which one it is. Is this still the Rocky Mountains or something else? California is a really big place, and you can really see it here. It looks like some parts are just desert. This map is from 1950 by the way. Here we have the megalithic culture in Europe, and this is an estimation from 3000 BC. This probably wasn't a unified state, and more likely many tribes. Interesting how it's mostly in Western Europe. Ireland was completely filled, and there was far less in Italy. You are also able to see some of the major sites. We had New Zealand and this is Antarctica. For most people this is probably very confusing. I really don't know if there's a better way to show the world. What are cowboys called in different parts of America? We of course have the cowboys in the north, but then there are also the vaquero and charro. We have the vaquero in Brazil, and the Dominican Republic has their own word. I also didn't know that there's another word in southern Louisiana. Interestingly, Rio Grande do Sul is siding with the Spanish speakers. They are called gaucho. Same-sex marriage in Mexico over time. And as you can see, it has been improved over time. I think today most of the country allows it, but some states are still holding on. This is the modern map. These are the world's biggest tourist destinations, but it's based on money spent. The US is in first place of course, but there are many countries in Europe that also got a bunch. It's definitely less in Eastern Europe, and there's so much in the UAE. Singapore of course is a bit of an outlier, but even more is Macau. Most likely many rich people go there. Macau has more than the entirety of India, and about as much as the entirety of China. Then there's almost nothing in Africa, except South Africa and a bit of the north. Here you can see where ancient civilizations lived. It's so interesting that there wasn't that much in Europe. Really just Greece. Then we had Greece along the Nile. And of course Mesopotamia and Babylon. Then there was also something in India, and some early forms of China. You might not know that there also have been civilizations in Africa. We are really overlooking these. There was Mali and Nubia and Zimbabwe. If you have watched this far, you can subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss any further uploads. And it really helps out the channel. More than 90% of you aren't subscribed, so you really can make a change. You can also help by liking the video and sharing this with your friends, so they can also find this. Changes of the national boundaries after the end of the Cold War. Now there are far more states than before. but there's also a unified Germany, and new countries in the Balkans, as well as 5 new in Central Asia. Here we have a map of the ocean floor. And I'm trying to find the Mariana Trench. There are actually many parts of the sea that are somewhat close to the surface, especially Zealandia, but also near Europe. This is an American map, but it was created by an Ottoman Pasha from 1893 to 1894. Interesting to see this language on the map, but it looks really amazing. And I would never be able to draw something like this. Here you can see human rights treaties, and some of the bigger countries haven't signed them. The USA is one of them, but also China and India. Most of South America signed them, probably because they haven't been at war in a long time, and because of this they won't break them. Other countries meanwhile have done that, and I can't find the countries that have signed less than 5. Here we have a map of amazing quality. Which US states have toes in their flags? Some have human toes, some have animal toes. For example, the bear in California. Even American Samoa's toes. But most of the South doesn't have. Nebraska has some hypothetical ones, okay. Because you can't see any feet. But that of course is a person. Are you allowed to insult the leader of your country? I actually didn't know you couldn't do it in Germany. And China for some reason is more liberal on this. However, there are indirect laws. You are allowed to do it in US and Mexico. And most of South America, as well as Australia and Indonesia. But we don't know if you can do it in many other countries. Some US counties have to provide non-English ballot papers. And here you can see them. Most of them seem to be in the south, some most likely Spanish. But there are also some random counties. For example, one in Nebraska. There are even 6 languages in one Californian county. There even are 6 languages in one Californian county. Maybe LA. Or Orange County. I'm not 100% sure about the name. Here we have the major language families of Earth. And the biggest is probably Indo-European. But there are also others. For example, interestingly in the Basque Country. There are also Uralic families. I think Hungarian, Finnish and some parts of Russia. In the Americas there are of course the Native American languages. There's also Afroasiatic and Niger-Congoan, the subreddit of every country in the world, ranked by the number of members. The US is just r/news, and in some there are surprisingly many people. Sweden for example. Then there's Ukraine of course. Germany doesn't have as much, and Tajikistan only has 2.1k. We also have the best country ever, which is St. Vincent and the Grenadines with 285 people. Yeah, I know, they will rise. Canada is also really big. And Russia of course I think got banned. Here we have CO2 emissions in every country on Earth, or the relative reduction. Most of Europe actually looks somewhat good, but many countries in Asia have gotten worse. North America doesn't look good either. And the same goes for many countries in Africa. And this is really an amazing map. All the municipalities in France before 2013. I think there were like 14,000. And there are far less now. You can also see the minority election maps. I really enjoyed seeing that. And another French map. Some parts of France are really empty. But Corsica surprisingly isn't. Never mind, I read it wrong. There aren't that many people on the borders. But in contrast there are many in Brittany. Countries with an AK-47 on their flag. You will only find one here. And it is Mozambique. As you can see, it's a glorious flag. And I think it has some defense symbolism, based on the fight for independence. But there's also a book, for values such as education. Yeah guys, that's everything for today's video. But here you're able to find another. If you enjoy my content, you will enjoy my US State series. It was the North America Divide mod in Hearts of Iron 4. As it was a supercut, it was really long. So you can see more content of mine. As always, you can leave a like and subscribe. In the description you can find my Discord server. And are free to join it. But as that's everything for today, I'm going to say bye.